So now let's take a look at the jQueryUI button widget, as well as some other theme elements that are included in the package. So I'm going to navigate to Widgets, Button, and look, there we have some really nice buttons with a rollover state, as well as a click state. Let's view the source. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab this script tag. And we're going to edit our contact.html page. So this is going to do something that I don't like, and that is it applies the button globally to every anchor tag, everything that has button on it, as well as just input type submit. So if you have an input type that's just a button, it's not going to apply to it unless it's a submit button. So we are going to change this instead to a class called button. We use a class because a class, as you know, can be used multiple times in an HTML document, whereas if we use an ID, we're going to have to list it out here several times for every single element we want it to apply to. So for this, we are just going to put a button class on every button in the site that we want to use this on. So I'm going to come down here, and so there isn't so much of a pattern to follow with this widget as there is with the other ones. So with this one, I'm kind of defining what I want to apply the button widget to, and in this case we are saying that we want to apply the button widget to every element in the document object model that has the class button on it. So I'm going to go down to my submit tag here and add a class of button. I'm going to save that, and let's take a look. And there I have a nice button with a rollover state. So let's take a look at our other options here. As you noticed before, we had that applied to globally to every anchor tag, which we don't want to do because we have some other anchor tags in our document with some other styles. So if you're bringing over that button widget, be very careful about what's in this script block, because you're going to see some crazy stuff happen if you have some anchor tags in your website that you don't want that to apply to. But I am going to make an anchor tag that I do want it to apply to. And it's not going to go anywhere, really. And we are going to give it a class of button. And we're just going to say, click here. So let's refresh the page. And as you can see, I have a button made with an anchor tag that has the exact same look and feel to it, which is very handy if you're working with HTML and you have an anchor tag that needs to look and function like a button. So one of the coolest things that you can do with jQueryUI is utilize their set of icons that jQueryUI comes with. So as you can see, there's some buttons here with some nice little widgets on them. Like I have a lock button and a little widget image there. If you go over to themes, you can see the full package of the framework icons that are available to you. So let's go ahead and add one of these to the buttons. So if we go back to the demos and we go to the widgets, we can navigate to the button where we're just at. And on the right hand side here, they have another example for icons. So we're going to go to our view source link, and we're going to check this out. So this is going to be a little bit more complex. What we're going to do here is we're going to care about this code inside the little dot button statement here. So after the open paren, there's an open bracket, and it says icons, primary, UI icon locked, text false. We are going to just copy it from here down to here. And I'm going to go back to my code, and I'm going to go back to what we have here. And I'm going to add that inside the button open paren, close paren. So what that's going to do is add the UI icon lock to every single one of my buttons. So that's cool and all, except I don't want that to happen to every single one of my buttons. I don't want it to just be a lock. So we're going to go back. So the thing that we were missing is that this text is false here, and so we need to change that to true. So I've got my button, and I'm applying the button widget to it, and there's going to be an open paren and close paren, and this is, let's make this a little bit more clear to you guys. So this is what I added in between the open paren and the close paren for the button. I'm going to format that so you can see that this is saying that we want the UI icon locked and we don't want to display text on that button. Well, that's not true. So we want to use that, and we're going to add that. And the thing to keep in mind here is you're going to notice that obviously the icon isn't showing up on this first one here. Well, this class that we're applying here under the hood doesn't work on an input. This only works for our A tags that we're using, for our anchor elements that we're applying the button class to. Another thing to keep in mind is that you have all of those available to you to use. So if you go back to the themes, jQueryUI made it really easy for you. If you hover over any of these, you can see the class name for them. So let's say that I like the heart. So you can see the class name for that is UI-icon.-heart, and they all use the same naming convention. So I'm going to go ahead and go back, and I'm going to change that to heart. And now I have a heart on my button. So let's say I don't want to add that to every single one of my buttons. Let's say I have some other buttons. So let's add some. So I've added these buttons, and they all have hearts. And I don't want hearts on all of my buttons, just on the one that says click here. So let's go back, and we are going to take this script tag that we have for our button, and just to make it real easy, we are going to back out what we did there on the other one, and that is we added an open curly bracket, closed curly bracket between our open and closed paren on the statement that says that I want to add the button widget to the element that has the class button on it. So we're going to go ahead and say that that statement is still true, and we're going to get rid of that open closed paren. So that looks right. So that was the original button code. So now here we've added another one, and this one says heart. We want the UI icon heart and to keep the text. So we're going to go ahead and say that this is a button heart. So if we want to save that, we can go back and see that the hearts are no longer going to appear on our buttons. And then we're going to come down here and we are going to say that I wanted it on this click here button. I want the button heart. And there we go. I have my heart button. So there's some other stuff that's available that's really handy to use in UI. And one thing is alerting the users of an error, or maybe giving them some suggestion on something that they need to do on the UI. A lot of times we'll do this with red text or something that just stands out to the user, and sometimes we don't even do it very well at all, and we'll say something like, make sure that you include this field and this field, and then the user doesn't see that and they click submit and then they get a bunch of errors and they have to go back and fix them. So a really cool way to kind of alert users to something that's important is to use this highlight error capability right here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to inspect this element for this highlight, and I like to think of it as giving somebody some important information. It's yellow, it stands out. So I'm going to copy this whole HTML and I'm going to paste it at the top underneath contact me. So the syntax we have here is we have a class that says UI state highlight, UI corner all. That's going to give us the rounded corner effect. It's got some other inline styles here that I'm just gonna ditch that because we don't like inline styles. And on the inside of it we have a paragraph tag, and that's fine, we'll just leave that. It doesn't have to be though, that could be a div tag. The class on the span that's going to have that little info icon in it, remember the syntax for the icons is UI-icon-info. That gives us the little info icon. So that's included there. So I'm going to change this to warning. Please specify what date you want me to get back to you by, because I am very busy. So let's save that and we'll go back and look at our page. So as you can see, I have a nice little warning there. So let's say somebody made a mistake on our page, and this page really, if you look at the HTML, there isn't anything that's being done here. There's just a form with some elements and it's not posting anywhere, it's not being handled anywhere. But let's pretend that we have a form that's being posted and there's some sort of error, like maybe I have something in my system where I count how many times somebody's contacted me, and I want to say, you know, don't worry, I'm going to get back to you, please stop sending me these contact forms. So let's go grab the HTML for the alert. I'm going to copy the HTML. And I'm going to put this on here. Save that. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that inline style off there because we don't like inline styles. You know, I kept the one on there as well, but really if I was going to go through here, I'd change this. And you know what, let's do that. I'm going to change this to a class that's going to be my alerts. I'm going to add that to the span. And I'm going to go into my style sheet for my website. And I'll go see what inline style were they going to add on there. I believe that's important, so we want to keep it The other one I got rid of, it was just some padding, and it's not really necessary. It was specific to their own UI. So we got rid of that. We get rid of our inline style. Much better. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to have the alert. You've contacted me too many times this week. Please stop. So let's pretend somebody's tried to submit our form and they've really just started contacting us like 20 times and we've just had enough. And there we have it. If you remember those UI icons, we can also change what those are. So let's say that you don't want this to be an infographic. Let's go over here to the available icons that we have. And let's say that we want to use a light bulb. So I'm going to come back and into my warning, and I'm going to change the UI icon info to UI icon light bulb. So I'm going to save that. You can see it's changed to the light bulb. And there you have it, jQuery UI, button widget, and other theme elements.